Hey, I kept thinking about how exactly to cover this topic. Going to be diving into decentralized media, and there's a lot of different ways that I could do this. Um, and listen, I'm learning as I go. So that's some of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you on this channel as I continue to learn. Let me tell you why I think about decentralized media, why I think about decentralized currency, commerce, all of that stuff, particularly when we are creating content, whatever that is, writing, video, music, whatever it is. And especially when we're doing that in the context of the church, of proclaiming the gospel, of bringing that out there. There are hard truths that go along with that. And sometimes there are things that are out there that don't conform with the world, to be quite frank. And there's another side of it too, where I truly believe that Satan doesn't want God's good news going out there, the message of Jesus Christ going out there. With that said, it can be challenging when you're trying to put stuff out there. And, we live in an age and a time right now where, particularly over the last 20 years or so, a lot of the things that you're trying to put out there, they have to go through certain centralized companies, servers, whatever, in order to get out into the world. And there's some stuff that we have to be able to take control over. And particularly if you feel led with your creativity, it is challenging to get your material out there. And if it happens to be getting throttled back, or you're not getting it out there to the people that you need to get out there, what do you do? What do you do? There's a couple of things I want to share with you. A couple of years ago, I was reading this book, which is called Life After Google by George Gilder. This was published in 2018. This sort of goes into the concept, this book specifically goes into the concept of unpacking the idea that we've had these major tech conglomerates that have, they've been super helpful as we've gone into the information age with Google, with Microsoft, to some extent, when we start getting into things like Facebook or Twitter, any of these other companies that are out there. It's these places that serve as like these huge hubs where, in order for me to get information out to you, and I'm doing this right now on YouTube, which is a subsidiary of Google, but trying to get this stuff out to a general audience, I'm broadcasting the stuff from my computer at home, then it's going to servers that whoever has it, the providers have it, and then from there it's going out to you. George Gilder talks about the stuff that when you're talking about companies, particularly, like, let's look at an example of Google or Facebook or anything like that, anything that you're using for free, anything that has the appearance of like, oh, hey, you get to use this for free. Ultimately, you are the commodity, your information. And that's the stuff that Google has been using for a while, which is like, oh, great. Yes, we'll give you Gmail, or it can use our servers or whatever. But what ends up happening is that as you're giving out this information, Google or Facebook or and I get it, right? They're trying to figure out how to make money, how to make a dollar. What they have been doing over the last almost couple of decades now is they're able to take your information, your profile, the thing that you're searching, and then they're able to sort of distribute that to other interested companies so that certain things are being advertised towards you that might pique your interest. What are you searching for? And whatever that is that you're searching for, hey, that might fall into the realm of these certain companies that are looking to sell you that stuff. And so part of what Google or Facebook or any of these other major companies have been doing is they've been, selling your information in a way where it's like they're showing what your habits are, and also showing this to other companies and saying, hey, you want to get this in front of certain eyeballs, they're doing it. Here's the perfect customer for that. Now that works to an extent, but the big challenge that happens is when you're trying to get out other information. How the heck do you do it? George Gilder in that book started talking about things like the phrase that was used several years ago was Internet of Things. Part of it that you might hear of is Web3. The thing that I'm very interested in, especially when it comes to decentralized media, there's two perfect examples of this, which I'll be going into deeper. And by no means am I an expert on this, but I want to share what my working knowledge of it is so that you have access to it as well and start doing the research for yourself. Bitcoin was one of these things that came out. And again, I'm not giving financial advice on this at all, but Bitcoin and blockchain technology was something that got introduced several years ago, which really was a game changer. And because of Bitcoin, blockchain, and other things that are existing through decentralized technology, for example, social media networks, which I'm starting to use, like nostr, that's out there, NOSTR, which is a decentralized social media kind of platform, open source platform, that it's not going to just one person. Instead, it's a series of these hubs that are out there where people are starting to create their own little nodes, their own little relay stations, so that we don't have to go through one specific thing to do it. I'm just going to give very broad strokes on this right now, because I'm going to be going more in depth. Particularly, I'm going to be unpacking kind of a everyday man's understanding of things like Bitcoin, of blockchain technology, of things like nostr, like that decentralized social media that exists, and also the concept of value for value that exists in that. The concept of value for value is, hey, I'm putting out something for you. If you find that there's value for it, figure out what sort of compensation that you could give to me for that, whether it's time or information, or it could be monetarily as well. I think that this is an important thing for creatives to understand. What are the things I'm doing so that if I am creating something and trying to put it out into the world, that I am not necessarily beholden to a major company or a major corporation as to whether or not they're going to allow it to be pushed out there. How do I find that audience that's out there? The internet has been very good at sort of, in a way, democratizing that. But I think that we're moving into a new era of that now. So anyway, I just wanted to give those broad strokes just on this video. I'll be going deeper into it, probably with an every man's explanation of Bitcoin, how that works, how blockchain works, and then unpacking the concepts of value for value, and definitely ultimately talking about things like nostr, NOSTR, which are out there, so that you have that opportunity to be able to go, oh my gosh, there's this whole new opportunity that's out there, in order for us to be able to exchange ideas, and also to be able to I don't know, be able to pay people for their value, and to also find compensation for that as well. Yeah, we're at a very exciting time, I think, right now. I think about the timing of when Jesus arrived on this planet. When you really think about the timing and the divine inspiration of when he appeared. When did he appear? He appeared several years after Rome's conquest over the world, right? So that you had you basically had a network that was almost established. So by the time that Jesus was able to arrive, and to be able to save us, it was after that that Rome had sort of conquered the known world, so that there was this network that was that was provided, so that the message of Christianity and the message of the resurrection was able to go out to the world. And even by the time that you got to the fall of Rome, that message had already been going through those networks and going out further from there, so that even by the time that Rome fell, it was able to continue on in Eastern Orthodox traditions, and then through other avenues. Pretty amazing thing, So I think that we're in this place. I just wrote about this the other day on Twitter, right? There's a lot of people that you'll see, but particularly as you hear me talking about things like Bitcoin. Bitcoin or these other technologies that are out there, ultimately, they're not our savior. Jesus Christ is our savior. But I do think that we have these divinely inspired tools right now, that we are in the beginning stages of what this could mean. And I do think that God has provided this for us. Ultimately, in the end, all of this points towards God and what will happen with him, with the return of Christ, and with the establishment of God's kingdom, with a new heaven and a new earth. But whatever these things are that he's providing along the way, we have to figure out those ways that we can use them and implement them to spread his message and for the world. So anyway, just broad strokes on that, but to just give you an idea of some of the things I'm going to be going and talking about a little bit more in depth over the next couple of weeks, especially when I get into this topic of decentralized media, decentralized currency, particularly Bitcoin. That's what I will be talking about specifically, Bitcoin only. I'll explain why, and also start pointing you towards other amazing resources so that you can do your own investigation and finding about that. But yeah, decentralized media, decentralized currency, and decentralized commerce, and ways that we can get this stuff out there in other means, so that it doesn't have to go through one specific hub. Because believe me, there's enemies of God that are out there, particularly Satan, that doesn't want this message of Christ's salvation to go out into the world, and will do anything and everything in order to stop that. And I think God provides channels for us to get around that. So anyway, thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this, please hit like, subscribe. More videos will be coming your way. I appreciate the follow, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.